Hello, bookworms, bibliophiles, and lovers of all things literature. Welcome to the next chapter of the Braless Book Guild podcast, where we discard our bras and step through the red door to talk about books both published and unpublished. We are your hosts, Jenna, that's me, Marissa,
hello,
and Megan.
Hello.
And today we are joined by our friend, if you remember her from our previous Sisterhood of the Traveling Books episode, Angela.
Hello.
And we get to talk about our first of this year's Sisterhood of the Traveling Books. We're talking about The Unmaking of June Farrow by Adrienne Young. And I'm about to tell you all about that, but before we get started, I'm going to tell you about the tea we're drinking.
Yeah, Jenna, tell us about the tea.
So I decided, Megan decided actually, that the best thing for us to do with these books is each time we talk about one of these books, the person who chose that book will choose a tea to complement the book. And due to the fact that June Farrow, the Farrow women, run a flower farm, I thought we should do a floral tea for this book. So we are drinking a Earl Grey with rose and lavender. And it's called a Princess Grey. At least the tea shop calls it a Princess Grey because you can change up whatever type of gray you want as you add things into it. So yeah, I know that Megan, I know you're not the biggest fan of floral. And
it's actually pretty good.
Okay, good.
The Earl Grey part is enough to
mellow out,
not be drowned out by the flowers. So yeah, it's pretty good.
And then ironically, Angela, you're not a fan of bergamot. So how are you liking it?
Yes, usually bergamot tastes like soap to me. I'm actually enjoying this. You were correct in your assumption that little bit of lavender definitely overpowers the soap.
It does. It does. It gives you a little bit more lavender, and it gives just enough bergamot to overpower the lavender for Megan. So Marissa, the ironic part is that Marissa and I both have to do a decaf version of this. So we don't have the lavender, but we have the rose. How are you enjoying yours?
Yeah, it's good. I think. Did you put honey in mine?
Just a, yeah, okay. I did give you guys a little bit of cream and honey. We are doing this. Well, the honey is American, but kind of English. The cream, almost fog style, but not quite.
I think because I don't often have honey in my tea anymore, I think that is what I'm tasting a lot of right now because I'm like, this tastes different than what I usually drink, but it's good.
Yeah, it's sweet. I'm enjoying that you guys are enjoying it because I was a little worried about doing a floral tea for you guys, but I like that everyone likes it.
We also had a special dinner as well.
Yeah, we did. We decided to have like just a kind of a potluck that we did Southern themed. So Megan brought some cornbread. I brought some, well, mine's not very Southern. It was just, it's summer themed for me. It was zucchini. And Angela brought us some smoked salmon, and crackers and cheese spread, which was delicious. And we're pretty excited about this. We're having like a whole little picnic here.
We got to do this for every book. I'm excited.
Yeah, we got to have themes.
Thank God I got Indian restaurants surrounding me now.
Yeah, I'm excited for Marissa's. Let's do a whole Indian theme because this is going to be great.
Yes. Okay,
so The Unmaking of June Farrow is a more adult book than Adrienne Young usually writes. She's pretty known for her Fable and Sky in the Deep. And I've enjoyed those books. She did write another one, The Spells for Forgetting, which I had read, and I really enjoyed it. So when I was picking a book, I decided to go with this one because I really liked this author. And it follows June Farrow, who is the last in a long line of Farrow women who are all cursed to go mad and then die. And at the very, very beginning, the very first sentence of this book is when her grandmother dies. And so her grandmother has just died from this madness. And June is starting to show signs of the madness. And she sees a red door appearing to her. And she's hearing voices that aren't there and seeing things that aren't there. And so she has decided she is never going to get married and never going to have children. And she's going to just let this die with her and be the end of her. She was raised by her grandmother, and her mom disappeared and died at some point mysteriously. And so she's not going to let it continue. And then obviously as things go, it doesn't go exactly as she plans, and she doesn't just go mad and die. And so One day, her grandmother's best friend Bertie says, the next time you see the red door, go through it. And what happens is everything that I thought was going to happen in this book completely doesn't go the way I thought it was going to go.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm going to be honest, guys. If you haven't read this book and you want to read this book, do not continue, because there is absolutely no way we are going to be able to do any of this without giving away huge spoilers.
Right.
We can't even kind of start it out without spoilers. The fact that I made it to this point without a spoiler is amazing. So
I'm really proud of you, Jenna.
yeah. So if
I would have given it away a long time ago.
If you want to read this book, stop right now. Right now. This is your 5th warning, and that's all you've gotten. After this, there are spoilers, and you are on your own. So you now have been warned. So guys, what did you guys think of the book?
So we should go in order of how we read it.
Oh, okay. So, but I started. So
Yeah. So tell us what you thought.
I
Strong start.
I loved everything at the very beginning of this book and hated everything at the very end of this book. No, the ending, actually, I will say the ending, I think I told Megan when we were talking, because she was the second person to read it. I told her, weirdly, the very end saves it just enough that I liked the book. But the longer I was going, I was getting more excited about where it was going and getting more frustrated with how it happened. So the big twist in this is that it's a time travel book. When she walks through the door, she travels back in time. And I got really excited about time travel, and then really upset with how they handled all the time travel. So without going into too many spoilers, I'll just leave it at that for now. Megan, what about you?
I totally agree. For me, I also absolutely loved the idea of a time travel book. I love anything, any movies, shows, anything that has to do with time travel. It's like something I just love. No matter what they do, I can always love this. But for me, what turned it off was just the severe lack of communication, where if they had just said, hey, by the way, here's what happened. Here's what happened. Here's why everyone's angry and looking at you weird. Just so you know, I think that would have made the book so much better, but it would have lost its
mystery that they were trying.
The mystery that they were trying to go for, that I feel she did not succeed in, because everyone's like, we can't talk about this. And she's just like, I just want answers. I just found out that I can travel through time and I don't know what's going on. And they're like, you left us. You left us. And she's like, what?
The funny thing is that her Spells for Forgetting was a mystery book too, but she did that mystery so well. Like,
you can't win them all.
So well that I had such high hopes. And then this one, yeah, I agree. It was the same. I felt the same way.
Yeah. How about you, Angela?
I had 3 big feelings through this book. At the beginning of the book, I was kind of excited because I'm like, yeah, this is cool. Let's find out where this is going. There's a little bit of sadness tied in, and it's more the personal, because the madness kind of plays itself out as if it was like Alzheimer's. Mm-hmm. Like, these people, these women are slowly losing their memories. They kind of, some of them start talking to people that don't exist in the room. And a lot of that falls into like the category of dementia and Alzheimer's. And I have lost both my grandmothers, and now my boyfriend's grandmother just passed from it. So it's like this bittersweet kind of like, this is horrible that they're going through this, but also there's a bittersweet release at the end of, okay, they're no longer suffering, and June is going to break the curse. And so I'm excited, because it's kind of like that personal redemption of like, okay, I want to see how you break this curse. I want to see how no one else has to suffer like this. But then the more I read it, I got that third feeling, which was nothing but frustration. Frustration at the lack of communication, frustration at the fact that everyone's like mad all the time and no one's really doing anything about it. Frustration at the time travel aspect of it. And the fact that they keep trying to allude to this mystery and the mystery never comes. And so it's like, I want to stay up and read the book, and now I'm 4 more chapters in and there's nothing. And I've just wasted like 3 hours. So yeah, that's me.
Yeah. Marissa.
I think I was the harshest critic of this book. based off of our notes at the very end. I think I agree with you guys a lot. At the very beginning, the mystery pulled me in. Like Angela said, the allusion to like dementia and Alzheimer's and stuff like that, I thought that was quite interesting. I liked the idea that it had kind of that like you're in two places at once feel to it. That was really cool and interesting. And I was like, oh, okay, I want to figure out what's going on. And the more I figured out what was going on, the less and less I liked this book. And part of it, yes, lack of communication, terrible. I think the time travel theory in this was terrible, but I'll go on a rant about that later. I think the characters were all awful. I didn't really like any of the characters, I'll be honest. I think my favorite character was Birdie, and that's because she wasn't in it that much. Oh gosh. But yeah, I think this book just quickly like went from an okay run to just plummeting down to not a good book.
Yeah. I mean, the hard part is that I agree. I think that the miscommunication alone, like, I think everything else I could have got past, but the miscommunication alone was such a big part of the book and was such a driving force for what she was trying to do with the plot that took away from everything else that was going on.
Totally agree.
So in the book, what happens is she goes through the red door, goes back in time, and
to the 1950s.
Yes,
Nobody talks about their feelings in the 1950s. So
when no one talks about their feelings, and stumbles upon her husband. And
remember, she was not supposed to get married.
Yeah. So this person who knows her, this man who knows her, and he's pissed that she is back. And it's like, but at the same time, like, won't explain why. And it's just like, oh, you're back. Okay, stay here. I'm going to leave you. And just like disappears, doesn't tell her anything. So of course she doesn't stay there. And then of course the townspeople find her and see her. And that means they have to keep her around.
Keep in mind, at this point, she's only just realized that she can travel through time.
Right.
She doesn't know what the heck is going on, where she is, when she is.
Just that this guy's mad that he knows her and that knows her and is mad that he's seeing her, but she's never met him before in her life.
Yep.
And then people see her, and one of them is, I think the sheriff sees her is what happens. And so they're like, crap, we have to play along with this thing. But then they just don't tell her anything of what's going on. They take her to her great-grandmother's house, because at this point her grandmother, who had just died, is a young girl, and her great-grandmother is like the matriarch of the family. And they're like,
her great-great-grandmother, technically, because it was her grandmother's grandmother that was taking care of her. Oh,
yeah, because her grandmother's...
That's right, yeah.
So it was like... And then no one just tells her anything, and they're just like, this is an inopportune time for you to be coming back. And at that point, what would have, I think, could have turned this book around is if they had just, like, told her a lie that could have completely unraveled as the story went. But if they had lied to her with just enough truth, like, hey, you know, this murder happened, which is, by the way, the big mystery, which is the big problem. So this murder happened. She had disappeared, and future past June had disappeared at some point, right as this murder happened, which is the big, like, mystery, even in 2024, 2023, when this book is taking place. And they're like, oh, the murder of this reverend or minister happened, and you disappearing has put a lot of, like, blame on the family. And if they had just been like, but this is what happened, nothing went wrong, however, people are looking at you. And if they had lied to her and then she had, like, figured out that they were lying to her, I think that would have made a better mystery. Because then it wouldn't have felt so like, we're just not going to tell you anything. And, like, obviously something happened and obviously things are going wrong, and it just doesn't, like, build any character development or any attachment to any of the characters when they're all lying to her.
I think I feel the same way, that it's like a lie or even like a half truth.
Right.
Like, okay, this happened the night you disappeared, and you know, you're not safe going out because they do suspect you. Like, please lay low. Like, right. And then they turn around and they blame June for everything. And she's like, I don't know what's going on. So they're constantly mad at her for nothing that is her fault.
Right.
Or they don't set her boundaries, and so she walks into town and talks to someone, and then they get pissed at her for talking to someone.
Also,
it's like, how is she supposed to know if you don't say anything?
Exactly.
Can we talk about when they bring her into town right after telling her not to go into town? And did they really think that they weren't going to try to like pull her into the police station and talk to her when she's under suspicion?
Because their reasoning was so weird. They're like, you need to be seen.
You need to be seen.
But we don't want anyone to see you.
Well,
Yeah.
I think the point of that was like we didn't want anybody to see you because we wanted you to just leave, and you have never been here before. But when she came back and she was seen, that's what changed the script of like, okay, now we can't hide her because now we look guilty, and so we need you to be in town, but we need to be with you to keep an eye on you and to pull you away if things get weird.
And then she immediately gets pulled in by the sheriff and interrogated.
And it would have been so much better if they had given her a lie, because at least then she would have had something to go off of instead of, I literally don't know anything, because guess what? I'm a time traveler from the future and I have no idea what's going on.
I don't know anything. Who are you?
Also, everyone is like, oh, you're only going to be here for a short amount of time, but they all know that the red door randomly shows up.
Right.
And you have no idea. So they're just like, yeah, you're only going to be here for a short amount of time. And she was there for like a month.
Yeah, if not longer.
Yeah.
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 Also, how does nobody notice that she has de-aged?
Right.
Because, like, future her coming back, living for so long.
It was like 4 years. They lived for like 4 years.
Oh, I'm pretty sure it was closer to 6.
Yeah, something like that.
By the time of, like, the building of the relationship, the building of a family.
You have the timeline on the book.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, let's see. She was there for a good chunk of time. So it's like, okay, I'm sorry. Does she just have the most excellent, flawless skin? And if so, how do I get that?
Well, she was.
Can you understand the timeline is the question.
Oh, yes. I'm just trying to make sure I'm looking at the correct timeline there.
So I went in after the book and I was like, I need this for my brain. And I drew in a timeline, which we should post on our Instagram.
Yes, we will. I will take pictures.
Which definitely has spoilers, by the way.
It does have spoilers.
Yeah.
So it'll be a swipey guy.
Swipey guy.
Swipe for spoilers.
Okay, I take it back. You were correct, Jenna. Oh, wait, no.
So
yeah,
she
4
was,
years. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she was there for 4 years, but her daughter was 4 because she'd been missing for a year.
Yeah. Oh,
So
yeah.
she
By the
was
way,
there-
guys, she has a daughter.
that's
too.
right.
She has
Yeah.
a daughter.
Who she wasn't supposed to pass on.
Yeah.
But
Hey, in the 50s.
yeah, it happens.
They had condoms in the 50s. Why did they?
They were harder to get, especially in the South.
Yeah.
Or so my grandmother has told me.
No. Well, yeah, but there was. Once again, I think it also partly had to do with the fact that she was trying to break the curse.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. At that point, she had changed her mind when she married Eamon.
Oh,
She like changed her mind and she's like, I'm gonna break this curse. I'm gonna do this. And she had this big like elaborate plot, but she also didn't really like come up with the plot. It seemed like, at least to me, she didn't come up with the plot until she killed the Reverend. Guys, she killed the Reverend.
Oh, yeah.
She wanted to do it.
Not main character June, but
Future June.
past June.
Future past June.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it was in self-defense.
It was in self-defense.
Yes.
But also
was
he
super
did kill
crazy.
her mom.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that was like the whole big mystery of what happened to her mom
Right.
and
Mhm.
who killed the Reverend, who was supposed to be like this pinnacle figure of, goodness. And he was actually just a drunk and
Yeah.
Mhm.
abusive guy.
Yeah, so what had happened is future past June had found out about the red door. She knew about the red door or whatever. And she came back in time, knowing that it would come back in time, hoping to find her mom so that she could find out what happened to her mom. And then,
But by the time she went back, her mom was already dead.
yeah, but by the time she went back, her mom was already dead. And what happened to her mom is her mom was with the Reverend. She was married to the Reverend, so that's June's daddy, so patricide, it's fine. And then she went back, her mom was already dead, and he went crazy because she had a birthmark.
She was supposed to be dead.
And she was
the-
supposed to be
Yeah.
dead. He knew that she was his daughter, but his daughter had died.
Or
And
so
then,
he had been told.
Or so he had been told, because her mom had sent her through the red door alone, which is how she ended up back in the present.
No, great grandma went
yeah.
through with her.
Great grandma put her through and then came back or
Yeah.
whatever. And so essentially moving back and forth through time makes these women crazy, and that's why they eventually die, is because their mind can't keep up with the time travel and it goes crazy and like
In the parallels
in the
of
parallels of
lives and
everything.
stuff.
And
But an important thing to note is that they can only do it 3 times. They can
Yeah.
only go through the door 3 times.
right. And so June went through as a baby, and then she goes through future past self again, and then decides that she sets it up so that no one will tell her about the door. It'll be a big mystery. And so that then her past self, a year before future past self went back, goes back first. It's so confusing, guys.
My brain.
But yeah, and then she's trying to like essentially trick the timeline into fixing itself and removing the curse.
She basically thought she could create a paradox to stop it.
Yes.
So we knew beforehand, though, her going through the door, she couldn't go back. Oh, it was the locket. If you changed the time or the thing on the locket, you could, that's where you would go. And so her future past self went back to 2022, was it?
Yeah.
And you can't,
she was.
right. You can't exist in the same time as yourself, therefore creating the paradox of, okay,
yeah,
I will kill myself, but future June, who knows nothing, will
future past.
Alpha June, main character Alpha June, and Omega June. How about that? There you go.
MC June and future past June.
So then they were able to stop it. I don't know. I read this in May.
Which also, she goes through the door 4 times.
Yes. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
But kind of not, because they send the past one back, because the past one is not really the past one, is what's happening. And then that's where it's like awkward and weird.
Well, it's supposedly that whole paradox thing, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, but to keep the consistent timelines, she still went through 4 times.
Right.
So we've just broken our own rules.
Right.
So what causes the true paradox? Was it going through 4 times, or was it going back to a time when she didn't exist?
Well, what the paradox was less that she went back to the time where she does exist. That just erased her from existence. The paradox that was supposedly the way to end it was that she sent messages to herself.
Yeah.
To go through at a time that she's not supposed to.
Yeah, so she sent her back.
And so she created a whole different timeline based off of that.
So essentially, she went back before she had gone through the door the second time. So because of that, she's nullifying the second time that she went through the door. So that's why the 4th time works. And it was weird.
MC June only goes through it twice.
Yeah. MC June goes through twice. But then June herself, because the future past June goes through once and then again. So
remember when she's a baby, though. So that's what I mean, is that time as a baby technically counts as 1. So you have to add 1 to everybody.
Well, no, it's the baby's the first time. Then grows up, goes back in either 2023 or 2024, depending on which. It's MC June or future past June. But both of them go back once.
And then comes back.
And then future past June comes back, which is the 3rd time for her.
But that's when she dies.
MC June
did it before the first time.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is just very convoluted. But yeah, so all of that to say, she's going back and forth, breaking the timeline and creating a paradox so that she destroys it. And then it turns out Birdie was Annie, her daughter, the whole time. And her grandmother was her friend growing up the whole time, which is kind of cool. Like, I thought that was kind of a cool, interesting thing where it's like, the beginning, she's grieving her grandmother who raised her and who she knew as her grandmother. And then, like, she goes back in time and kind of gets to live with her grandmother again, which I think is kind of a cool, interesting.
They basically both spent their entire lives together.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Different ways.
Right. At different times. But
does that mean then? Oh no, sorry. So she wasn't even born in 1989, even though that's what her birth certificate said. Because she was born in the 20s. Because that's when her mom was.
Yeah. But she traveled to 1989.
Yeah.
Which was her existence / birth.
So then her, from the 50s, she could have only lived to a specific age because she, in the end, didn't she like die before she was quote, quote, 1989 born or whatever?
Yeah, she had to have passed away before then.
Yeah.
Because then she'd stop existing. She caught up to herself, basically.
Yeah.
And this is where it's very frustrating with the time travel theory of this, because it's basically parallel universes smushed together.
Yeah.
Is what happened.
Multiverse.
It's the multiverse smashed together, and they just tried to make it their own, but it still doesn't make sense.
Which we didn't even get into, the fact that the voices that June is hearing and the crazy thoughts she's hearing is because future past June is all of her memories are leaking into MC June. And so that's what she's hearing. Like, as she's in the 50s, she's like doing things that are muscle memory, even though she's never done them and stuff like that. I thought that was so cool. They did a really good job with that, but that's what everything is based off of, is it her, and that's what I was telling Megan, like the end of it, when they bring it all together and everything like ties up that way, it kind of worked for me, because I liked that they did that, where that's what the badness was, is that her brain was computing two different timelines that she had lived and that she hadn't lived yet.
I liked that, and I thought that was fine, except for the fact that future past June completely erased what that would be.
Yeah.
So she technically would have never lived it, so she technically should have never had those memories.
Yes.
But so it's like, if you think of, a convergence or whatever of different timelines, then you have that moment. I'm thinking of like the Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse or whatever, or Into the Spider-Verse kind of thing, where you have all of these Spider-Men and they all have like their similar stories. So to me,
but Miles Morales doesn't get the memories of the freaking Gwen Stacy Spider-Girl.
That's true. And if you think of the not Homecoming, what's the third one from the third?
It's
Tom Holland one.
Far From Home, Homecoming, No Way Home.
No Way Home. So if you think of that one, they also, even though they had similar storylines, their memories did not converge, or they didn't have, because it was still alternate reality Peter Parker's or whatever.
Not like they.
But
see, what I would have liked about this is if they didn't create that paradox. So this is where it goes into my time paradox theories.
Let's get into it. I'm so ready. Let's talk time. What did they say? Wibbly wobbly, timey wimey.
Wibbly wobbly. Yeah, wibbly wobbly, timey wimey.
The fun part about Doctor Who is that it's the way that Doctor Who explains it is that, hey, everybody's not smart enough to understand it. So
yeah, there you go. There you go. We're getting philosophical.
Yeah. So I said there's only two that I really would believe in. Technically, there's a third one, but that one's kind of based off of another one. There's so many different time travel theories out there and what time travel means. Me personally, I can only believe a handful of them are true. One of them is the fate theory, which is if time travel is real, it's already happened, and no matter what you do causes what happens that you know. So, like, everything has to work out the way it works out.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing you can do, like, you couldn't go back in time to...
Butterfly effect.
Yeah. Yeah,
parents
exactly.
from meeting.
You can't prevent your parents from meeting because everything that you do when you go back in time already happened to them that caused them to meet.
Okay.
So that's one theory.
So the movie, example. What has done this?
I can't think of an example off the top of my head.
Okay.
This is essentially what nerds come up with when they're like, this is why none of your actual movie theories works, because this is what's really going to happen.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
This is what happens when you get a bunch of nerds together to debate stuff like this.
Yep. There is actually an episode of Doctor Who where this does come up. It's the Pompeii episode from long ago, where somebody asked, like, if you know what's going to happen, why aren't you going down and warning people and saving everybody? And he's like, well, this is a locked point in time.
Yeah, it's a fixed point.
It's a fixed point. Like, if I were to change this, I would drastically change everything. It has happened. Nothing I do can change this moment.
Yeah. So that's the fate theory, as far as, like, no matter what happens, you going back in time doesn't change it. You were supposed to go back in time because everything you did already happened.
Okay.
Which personally is the one that I would believe in most. The other one is the parallel universe theory that we kind of talked about, as far as, like, as soon as you go back in time, if like time's a thread, then it starts branching off and creating different universes based off of what you did. and wherever you go based off of that thread, you're no longer part of the other timeline that you were originally part of. You're now part of a different one.
So that would be Back to the Future.
Yeah, kind of more like Back to the Future. So that one I kind of understand, but now it doesn't work in this book because of the paradox theory on it, where if that happened, this timeline doesn't work as far as her memories and stuff like that go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then the third one that I thought about while we were talking was one that I just liked because I liked the show and I kind of liked how that worked out, which was Everything's Happening All at Once. The confetti theory, if you watched The Haunting of Hill House, of like time isn't a line or anything like that, it's just confetti and everything's happening all at once. Which
if you haven't watched The Haunting of Hill House, highly recommend it. So good. Perfect for spooky season.
Which I think is the only one that actually works in this book to make it make sense, except for the fact that they interact with themselves so much.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this one, this is interesting because of the fact that they interact with themselves so much. Like most time travel books, when you get these type of things, like they don't overlap like this. You're time traveling big distances and not overlapping that way.
And even if you are like traveling only a few years to where you could exist or like you could affect your existence in any way, I think another problem I had with this book was that she didn't travel enough.
Right.
Where you could see like little seeds planted in a bunch of different areas. It was literally just one moment.
I was actually hoping that she'd go back to the 20s to actually see her mom.
Yeah.
Like that to me was this whole moment of her, you know, she wants to see her mom. She wants to get the answers about her mom. She never did. I mean, she got the answers, but she didn't have that moment with her mom that I was really expecting.
The only reason I feel like they did that was because they threw that 3 times to the door rule, which felt like a dumb rule that they just threw in there because they're like, you know, we're just going to throw it in here. And I felt like that rule didn't really make any sense other than the author was like, well, I don't want them to travel too much back in time. And I want it to feel permanent if she goes to the door again and she can't come back. But like, that felt like a forced plot point to me.
That the whole reason why they did that was so they could be angry with her for moving for a third time.
Right.
Yeah.
Which she didn't.
Right.
Right.
I mean, she did, but she
did
because
but
it
she
wasn't
had a
her
plan, kind of. But yeah, that was the other thing too. Is they're mad at her for things that she never even did because she didn't live this yet.
And she never does.
And she never does. She never did any of it. So she just dealt with the repercussions for something she never did. She never
would do.
Also, could you marry someone or like fall in love with someone? And I feel like the only reason that she fell in love with Eamon, he was a complete jerk.
He was a jerk. I hated the romance.
I agree.
It was awful.
What romance?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, she was just like, because she didn't even have a choice because it was the memories of future past June that were filtering into her that she's like, oh, I see we were in love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were.
But she didn't actually get a chance to fall in love. She didn't have any moments with him, really, that were like...
They had sex.
Yeah, but no romantic moments.
I think...
He shot at a cop for her.
Yeah. Oh, that's very romantic.
He was gonna give himself up for her too, because that's what true love is.
There's like a moment, I remember there was like a montage. I can picture this in my head if this were like a TV show or a movie where it's like, here's all the scenes of how they would have met had they had that timeline. Yes. And I think that was supposed to be the moment where she's like, I did fall in love with him. I do love him. And I'm just kind of like, cool. No, you didn't.
Yeah, but you didn't.
But you didn't.
It wasn't chosen for her.
Yeah. Yeah. And cool. Good for you for sticking around. But it kind of feels like you feel obligated to because future you made a mistake.
And had a baby.
And had a baby.
Daughter.
Yeah, you gotta stick together for the kid.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, like, and there is something to be said about like a maternal instinct. So I'd understand that. I could have understood everything especially as a mom, if it had been like her memories of having a daughter filtering in and then like all of that changing her, because as a mom, you do change so drastically when you have a child. So like that kind of stuff I could have seen, but it was like,
it wouldn't have worked on me though, because
this love was just like out of nowhere.
Yeah.
We need a romance in here.
I will
Here
say
we go.
that's something I wanted to talk to you a bit about, Jenna, was the learning you had a child that you never had.
Dude, that messed me up.
Because I always now, as an auntie, always think of Elias when there are children in books now, because that's just what I do. I associate it with the child in my life.
Right.
And so when I was thinking of her child, I was thinking of Elias, and I was thinking of this situation, and I'm all like, how do you really, like, it is her, but it's not her child. Like,
right.
She never technically gave birth to this
and
kid.
she didn't want to.
Yeah.
So to me, that was another thing of like, she was so adamant about it, and then again, this choice was taken away from her.
And like, not to say I don't think she had any, like, I think she had maternal instincts to an extent. Like,
yeah.
Even myself, it's not maternal instincts, but like, I love Elias, and
yeah,
once you kind of learn like this is family, you're gonna try to protect them and everything like that. But at the same time, it's like, it's technically not your kid, but it's technically your kid.
It is really, it's your DNA, but not your,
but not
Right.
yours.
But also,
it becomes her kid.
Yeah.
Like, she definitely raises her. Like,
right.
Early on, it's not like for the first like 4 years of this kid's life, you were not her mother, but you're kind of like her stepmom now.
There you go.
That's what, honestly,
Adopted mom.
it's funny because I was actually going to say, like, it did feel almost like a stepmom feeling in a way when she came back 4 years. But then to me, I was just sitting there like, there are pivotal moments as you become a parent, like pivotal moments that change your brain chemistry. And like, so as if it is adoption, if it is those things, I mean, I can't speak from any type of adoption standpoint because I haven't had that child, but being given that child at that moment changes that brain chemistry in you, and you take on that responsibility. But what's weird for June in this is that she's like flooded with random memories, but also kind of not with Annie. And so then then all of a sudden just at the end, it's like, and then she's flooded with all the memories of having Annie. And I just couldn't imagine looking at Elias and not being able to remember giving birth to him or carrying him or like the changing his diapers as a baby and just coming in and knowing him at 4 years old. Well, obviously he's not 4 years old, so I can't even imagine what he'll be like at 4 years old. But like, but at the same time, knowing that the person who did all of that and the person that child is looking at as me is the person that did that for them. Like when Annie looks at her, she still sees her mom. She still sees the person who carried her and raised her and nurtured her. And like that entire plot line messed me up while I was reading this book. Because I was like, those were such big moments in my life to think of not having them, and to think of the fact that even though she does regain the memories, they're not really her memories. Like, honestly, that probably would have driven me crazy, like, long before 1989 when I had to die.
Yeah. Did any of you guys see the movie About Time with Rachel McAdams and Domhnall Gleeson?
That sounds familiar.
It is a beautiful, beautiful movie. I highly recommend it. It is so beautiful. I was gonna say something, but since nobody's really watched it,
don't want to spoil anything.
I don't want to spoil it. Well, okay, he's a time traveler, and his like limit is if you travel back in time to before your child was born, then your next child that you travel back to your current timeline is going to be different because you changed something.
Oh, wow.
So he has this whole child that he, raised and didn't really travel back in time for. And then he's like, okay, I'm going to go, visit this one time. And then when he comes back, it's not a little girl, it's a little boy. And he's like, this is not my child, even though technically it is. It is not my child. And it's like a pivotal moment of like, okay, here's the limitation on what your time travel can do. Highly recommend it. It is so good. It is one of the most beautiful movies I've ever watched.
I'll have to give it a go.
Yes.
Although it might mess me up. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you brought it up in another one of our episodes before. So
okay.
But yeah, it was it's weird because like to me as a mom, like it is a weird thing where it's like I can't imagine my life without my child. So first of all, the sacrifice that future past June had to have made to go forward and never see her child again and completely trust that her plan is going to work out for the betterment of her child, like that was a huge thing. And I was like, I couldn't even imagine making that decision to leave her. And that was a big reason why Eamon was so mad at her was because she just left Annie while she was watching her.
Yeah, that was the big thing. Where,
And
her grandma was the one that told her that. Was like, hey, what they're not telling you is that you left Annie by herself.
Right.
You walked through the door and left her by herself.
And it was like a long time too, or something
Right.
like that. Like she left in the morning or something, and then Eamon came back in the evening. And
Yeah, and Annie was only 3.
and she was 3 at the time.
I
And
can't even leave my child alone with people without freaking out. Like, he's with his father, and I'm sitting here in the back of my head going, is he okay? What happens if Jelani falls and bonks his head and I have to come back and Jelani's unconscious? How long will he have been alone? It's like these over-the-top fears that I have right now. I couldn't imagine consciously leaving my child unattended and being like, someone will show up eventually.
On a gamble.
On a
she didn't
gamble.
even know that was going to work.
Right.
Right.
And even if it did work, once again, it's a 3-year-old kid. What's to say she didn't pull down the knives? Like,
Right.
Right.
Burn down the house.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy. All of that really messed me up, and really, it was the motherhood aspect, which I did not expect in this book. Really messed with my head.
Wait, Jasmine Throne doesn't have motherhood in it, right? A little bit.
Well,
No, not really.
Kinda, not to
Little
this
bit.
extent.
Does
Bhumika's
Eon have
pregnant.
it?
Yeah.
Oh, Bhumika. Yes.
Yeah.
Never mind. It does. It is a very important thing.
Yeah.
Does Eon have it? Is that because
Motherhood?
mine has motherhood?
I know.
I mean, there are 2 not quite main characters.
There is
but
a
bigger...
moment in it that is horrible for me in Eon.
Yes.
I'm sorry about that.
Yeah.
But I think there's like a couple mentions, but I don't think it's strong. I think there is a like parental figure aspect to
okay.
it. Though.
Yeah, you do get that, and there are 2 characters that are mother and child, but they don't really focus on the fact that they're mother and child, other than they're related.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a little bit of it, but I don't think it's in any way in the forefront of the book.
Yeah, definitely not.
There was a moment where I was like, I don't know if I can do this.
It's true. I know what moment that was.
When you gave me the book, though, you're like, I finished this in 4 days.
It was a good book.
It was a really good
It was
book.
a really good book.
Okay, we'll see. I haven't got to it yet.
It was about a page and a half where I was like, no.
Hey,
no.
I don't think there's a haunted forest in this one.
Hallelujah.
No, I don't think there is.
I can't do another haunted forest this year.
It mostly takes place in a palace. So.
Oh, I love me some palaces.
Yeah. Do we have any other thoughts that we want to talk about with that?
I do have. So I will say, we haven't really talked about like our ratings for it, but I will say this book I feel did stick with me, and not in like a negative way.
Yeah.
A lot longer than I expected it to.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot longer than say so the one I read before, it was Amina Al-Sarafi. And that one I just knew I would love because it's fantasy and it's, strong, awesome characters. And that one stuck with me only because it's just like, it's fantasy, it's strong, awesome characters. It's a book I love. But this one, in the end, after reading it, it did sit with me a lot longer than I expected.
Mm-hmm.
And I do feel that my rating, I think, like, went up a tiny bit just for me, because I was, thinking about it, and like the whole
fact that it was a
thought-provoking.
Yeah, it was something that made your brain work even after you were done with the book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not in a bad way, like
Yeah.
I said. So for me, I think my rating actually, went a little bit higher than what I ended the book on. But I will say, though, it did put a bad taste in my mouth, in that I will probably give Adrienne Young books like
a little bit more of a berth.
Yeah.
The funny thing is I wrote, I think Casey's book. Yeah.
So there's Fable, Namesake, and Saint.
Yep. I
There's
have
Sky
not
in the
read
Deep.
Saint. But
So
I read,
you said you didn't like Saint at all when you
didn't-
read Fable.
Yeah,
You didn't like him as a character, so
He wasn't a very interesting. I mean, I guess he'll be an interesting character, but it's hard to want to read the book when you don't like Saint.
Yeah.
So books by Adrienne Young. The Unmaking of June Farrow, read it. We just discussed. Spells for Forgetting, loved it. Amazing. Good book. It's funny because I do remember reading it, loving the book, really enjoying it, then going on Goodreads and reading a review where someone didn't like it. And I go, I can kind of see what they mean by that.
I do that all the time.
But I still loved the book enough that it didn't even ruin the book for me. I was just like, I understand why it might not have been your best choice. Her mystery in that was phenomenal. It was good. It felt witchy, but it wasn't this type of witchy. It felt a little more practical magic than this one. Sky in the Deep, loved it. Have not read The Girl the Sea Gave Back. I think that's a sequel to Sky in the Deep, or like same type of world.
I did not know that.
And unfortunately, I didn't know that until it's been so long since I've read Sky in the Deep that I want to go back and reread it before I read The Girl the Sea Gave Back. Loved Fable, loved Namesake. I don't even know what The Last Legacy is. Didn't know that was anything, so I might have to look that up. And then I will probably read Saint. I just didn't feel compelled to do so. Every other Adrienne Young book, I would give at least a 4-star review, if not higher. This one, I think I was a little harsher on it, only because I think, and this is a hard thing that I have with a lot of books lately, is that sometimes I read a book and I see what they wanted to do with it, and I wish that they had done better.
Yes.
I almost like, it's almost like I have this great idea for a book, but your execution with the book wasn't what did the book justice, and I wish someone else had executed it a little better. So for her, it's like, I wanted her to go back and I wanted her to lie to June and tell her this fake story. I wanted her to actually develop feelings for Eamon, and Eamon to deal with the fact that he was upset with future past June and fall in love with MC June. I wanted it to actually feel like more thought out and less forced in this book.
I wanted her to go back to Mason, because childhood best friends to lovers is my jam.
That's
Not this
amazing.
grumpy guy who has his daughter dangling over them.
Yeah, I chose Mason over Eamon or whatever, if we're going to call that a love triangle thing. But at the same time, I think I wrote a note in there about Mason, and I'm all like, just get over her and go live your life, because she sucks.
I was just like, that felt really forced to me too. It was like, here's my best friend who we would be in love if I wasn't completely sworn off men. And
goes back in time, falls in love immediately.
Right. Yeah. Goes back in time, falls in love immediately. And then kind of has these weird like dream memory thoughts of like what would have
life,
been with Mason.
Which seemed a lot more fun than this, again, a grumpy guy who's yelling at her for something she doesn't know about.
Right. Well, it was very...
Another confusion there as far as... So, her thoughts are her if she had just lived out her life with Mason. But... is that the thoughts of future past June, where she lived it out and then came back?
That's what I thought it was. But no, future past June died. Because she went...
No. Yeah, but I was thinking of before future past June went to the past. Because
so
future past June
it
stayed a year later.
Yeah.
Then you're right.
That's
you're
probably right. What it was.
Which is messed up, because she went back and was like, F Mason.
Right.
Irishman.
Here's this tobacco farmer.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's super grumpy.
Love me a grumpy boy. No.
If this had been executed better, this could have been a 5-star read for me. If they had changed a lot of it, this could have been a 5-star read for me.
Yeah.
And cut a lot of characters.
Yeah.
There were so many characters.
And so many were set up to be, and Mercy, you made a point to say this before we even started recording, that there's so many characters that you thought were going to be pivotal people.
Oh yeah, you want to hear my list?
Tell us your list.
But I feel like Mason was one of them.
Just read us this list, because this is the best list ever.
I love this list.
This is the first chapter. They're at their grandmother's funeral, and I'm like, oh, I need to make a character list, because they're going off all these characters at her grandmother's funeral. So they have Margaret Farrow, who's dead. Sometimes. Until you go to the past. She's the granny. Susanna Farrow, who is a mystery, and it's her mom. Malachi Rhodes, thought he was going to be important. He shows up in the background once in the past. He was the fiddler that was kind of in love with his grandmother.
We didn't even talk about the fact that Caleb's her brother.
We didn't even get to that.
Yeah, we gotta talk about that.
We got Ida Pickney, who was the neighbor who did nothing but give her some archives that had some articles on something, I think. Melody Pickney, who is the daughter to Ida, who did nothing. Mason Caldwell, her friend, who we think is going to be big, but isn't. Bertie Forrester, which I just realized her last name's Forrester. Where does that come from?
Did they just change it?
They probably changed it.
No,
so.
I think they had a brief mention that she actually does end up. Yeah, Birdie got married.
Oh yeah,
and
then
her husband passed. Like,
and then she stayed with Granny again because they were best friends. Or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's Gran's friend. And then Clarence Taylor, who found her as a baby, thought that was going to be important. He never shows up again.
Yeah.
And this isn't even talking about the person who found her shoe and...
Oh, yeah, this is before she goes back in time and all the people, townspeople from back in time.
Oh, my goodness,
including her brother Caleb.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then, so that was the whole thing, too. So, future past
the sheriff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Future past June. And the whole reason she goes back in time and the whole reason that she feels like she's getting crazier is because her grandmother, after she died, sends her a letter with a picture of her mom standing next to the pastor that died. Yeah. So that's what was like, oh my gosh, what is happening? What's going on? And then she goes and gets the archives from her neighbor friend, who was not important, but Marissa thought
she brought a casserole.
Yeah, she brought a casserole. Looking up the minister and who the minister was married to, and they had a daughter, June. And he married Susanna Farrows, her mom. And she was like, wait a minute, what is happening? My mom who disappeared in 1989?
And apparently she just stopped reading after daughter and didn't read the son part.
And then just didn't read the fact that his son, Caleb, was trying to solve his murder, which would have told her when she goes into the future, into the past, that Caleb, the sheriff, who's after her for her murder, is the minister's son.
So her brother.
Also her brother. Who is technically, and it's funny, it's a younger brother, but at the time is older than MC June.
Yep.
So it's just my older younger brother.
My older younger brother.
Who
doesn't know he's my brother because he doesn't really understand until the end when he's finally arresting her for the murder of his father. And she's like, look, this is going to sound crazy, but let me tell you that I'm your sister and our dad killed our mom. Let me tell you where to find her buried body.
Yeah.
And then he's like, what the heck? And then he's like, all right, just get the heck out of here.
I loved that. Honestly, I was glad that it didn't turn into this whole thing where then she would have to kill Caleb.
Right.
I liked him just being like, okay, I'm going to break this cycle of abuse and anger and just leave you be. Right. I loved that. Yeah. And
where did Caleb go?
He just left. He resigned, right? Didn't he resign as the
or something like
sheriff?
that?
Did he just move out of town? He's like, I need to get away from these.
I think so.
I mean, I wouldn't blame the poor boy. And you find out he was beaten his whole life, by their father too. So it's just he's going through it.
For me, it's funny because you saying that, Megan, that's the thing. This book had amazing bones. The bones of this book, her idea for this book was so good. And the resolutions were so decent and good that, the resolution for the murder, everything that happened with Caleb, her idea of creating the paradox and, that's how she's going to save herself. And the fact that, she gets to go back and spend her grandmother's youth with her as an adult. And then, but her grandmother still raises her. And, I liked the way that everything tied together. It was just literally, the sandwich in the middle of the bread that killed it for me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All the miscommunication, all the weird little things, the lack of romance that was forced upon us.
The adding on of other, stress points for the characters, the blight for the tobacco, didn't make any sense. What were you just quoting?
Think that was supposed to
I
be
don't
the
care
romance.
about farming.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, just get to the murder already. Marissa wrote that in there, and I wholeheartedly agree.
It's funny. I think that the point of that was supposed to be, their Eamon and her having a connection again and her helping him and them having this
it was so boring though.
But it was really the worst. If they could have had almost any other way of doing that, it would have been better, and it just didn't work for me.
And why tobacco? She comes from a flower family. Why couldn't we have chosen a better crop than tobacco?
Back in the day, that's what they did. The 50s, smoked tobacco.
Well, I mean, chewed a lot of it too.
I hope that's now.
Yeah, our generation is different kind of farmer. Anyway, so what were you guys' ultimate ratings?
I think I gave it a 3.5 star at the end of it for this. I might move it up to a 4 because, like Megan said, it did sit with me. I really liked the bones. It was just the execution that really upset me. While I was reading it, I literally wanted to bang my head against the wall with the lack of communication and the very obvious, we're trying to make this a mystery and point driven, but it didn't work for me. So I think in the moment, I think I was being generous with the 3.5 stars, but I might have been able to move it up to a 4 after a little bit of time sitting with it. What about you, Megan?
I gave it a 3-star, but similar to you, I think I would move it up to a 3.5. I would not give it anything more because the communication, I am very much a communicator, and seeing like in any, you know, K-drama or anything where like romance or whatever, where it's the lack of communication or miscommunication trope, that it always just ruins it for me. It makes it stupid and not fun. Yeah. So I'd stick it, like, it's not going to get anything more than a 3.5 out of me.
3.5 is probably actually pretty accurate. I think I just want to give it better because I really liked how it stuck with me.
Yeah.
But I 3.75. I'm just going to
There you go.
start ordering my stores.
3.3962.
I'm going to give this a pie score.
Yeah, there you go.
3.142.
It never ends. All right, Angela.
3, and I'm sticking with a 3.
Yeah.
The frustration I had through this book, I picked it up and I started looking at my notes, and I could phically feel the frustration come over me again. Like, just, and to be honest, it did not stick with me the same way that it stuck with you guys. Like, I was very quick to remember it as we started going through it, but it was just like, cool, that was a fun read. Don't feel like picking it up again.
I wouldn't describe it as a fun read.
Well,
at no point did what I have said. The beginning was fun, and then once the miscommunication started, I was just too frustrated to even consider it.
I think one of the things that I read books like this from time to time, and I remember in high school, Twilight being one of those that I just cannot put this book down. I hate it. I'm so mad at it, but I cannot put it down. It's a very, very surface level book, and that's what this felt like. That when I was reading it, it was kind of necessary. Like, so it was just like, cool, I don't have to think about anything else but this book. I finished it super fast because I'm like, I gotta know what happens. But I was just so frustrated I can't give it above a 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Marissa's the Rubinas.
It's time to reveal.
It's a 5-star for me.
Wow. Best book of the year.
No, I wrote it in the back. It started out as a potential 4-star book for me with the mystery of it all, and it reminded me of Practical Magic. We put a note in the beginning of it that said that as soon as she started time traveling, it started plummeting fast, and it ended up only being like a 1.5 star for me.
Yeah.
I put a 1, and then I was like, that's a little harsh, so I put a half.
Would you have DNF'd it if it was not required reading?
Probably eventually, yes. So the reason why I read through it so fast, because we were talking about it, I was like, I'm giving myself like 2 weeks to finish this, and instead I finished it in like, I think 4 days or something like that. So part of that reason why I read it so fast was because I was intrigued by the mystery at the beginning, and I was surprised at how much I liked the beginning of it. And then once she time traveled, I started hating it so much that I'm like, it has to get better. So I was just reading it, hoping that something would happen that would make me like the book. And then it became just like, I just need to finish this book as quickly as possible. And I don't agree. I don't think the ending was good. I don't think it resolved anything for me.
I agree with that.
I did not like how they resolved the whole mom murder Caleb thing. It felt like a cop-out to me. I think a lot of stuff felt very unresolved, felt a lot of loophole, like, she didn't go back and reread her writing to add little crumbs or to follow even what she said before. So, I got very critical of it, so yeah.
Okay. I said, and this is chapter 30, 297 pages. I said, okay, so some thoughts. Did they really have to keep everything from her? I get not telling her before she went through the door to preserve the new timeline, but Margaret could have laid out the facts. Also, if she doesn't go back to 2023, then she'll have to die in 1988, or in 1988, she goes back to 2023 and lives as an old lady with Birdie, which is what she should have done.
Yeah.
That would have been cute.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. There were things, you know what it reminded me of is it felt very, it felt a lot like a book that you'd read in high school.
Yeah, actually,
Like,
that's, yeah.
That they would have had as required reading in high school to like prompt you to think about things. Almost, To Kill a Mockingbird style, where it's like it has these different things in it that they want kids to ask questions and talk about. That's what it felt like to me. Any other random thoughts as we're thinking about things?
I do like the cover.
Oh, the cover is so gorgeous.
It's beautiful. Like covers like that, I look at that and go, oh my gosh, yes, please.
It's I've even seen like special editions versions of this, like from Fairy Loot and Illumicrate and stuff, and they barely change the cover because the cover is so perfect, and they just add like sprayed edges and stuff.
I am okay with that. Yeah,
yeah, it is a gorgeous
beautiful.
cover.
It's kind of weird to be like, the cover gave me so much hope.
Yeah.
And it's like the bread. The cover is the bread. And you know, it's beautiful and gorgeous. The deli meat inside, they chose like
the limp noodle or limp lettuce.
Bologna.
Yeah.
There's if you go to like certain convenience stores in Korea, and they'll show you like a triangle sandwich bread or something, and they always have it facing out so you could see how much meat is in it. But when you take a bite, you realize that they shoved all the meat to the front.
Yes.
So like none of the meat is like fully fleshed out in the back.
It's
so
beautiful presentation, but not great on substance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's quote of the day, Angela.
Yeah, we're gonna end on that one actually.
That'll be our quote.
No, but before we do wrap up and we give our quote, I did want to ask you, ladies, what are you reading right now? So I'll start with Angela, since you're
reading like for this or just in
fun.
general.
Just what are you reading?
What is your book?
So I mean, I'm going through the Jasmine Throne, getting close to the end of that for us to all talk about. What I just finished and I would love to talk about is a book called Marvelous, and I cannot for the life of me remember the author because I'm horrible with names. But it is about it's essentially the story of the couple that created the Beauty and the Beast fairy tale. In France in the 1300s, there was a boy born with the genetic mutation that causes hair to grow all over your body, and he was sold to the French court. And the queen thought it would be really fun because she had a bunch of, at their time that they called their oddities or their spectacles or whatever. She had a collection of them, and he ended up being one of them. And she thought, oh my gosh, wouldn't it be funny if we find one of the most beautiful girls that we can find and marry her to the Beast? And they actually call him
it's by Molly Green, by
Molly
the way.
Green, thank you. Marvelous by Molly Green. They call him Monsieur oh my gosh, what's the word for beast? Now I can't remember. But they call him Mr. Beast. Mm-hmm. They never really address him by his name, and he has like 3 names because he was kidnapped and he's from somewhere outside of Spain, and then he's in France, and now he's in Spain, and now he's in Italy, all that stuff. But it's the story of them coming together, and it's pitched as a romance, but it's really not romantic, and I kind of enjoyed that because it's what happens when these two come together and have to learn how to be a couple as spectacles in the French court. And they ended up having 6 children together.
Oh, wow.
And by all accounts, by the end of their lives, loved each other deeply. And they do kind of touch on that, but it's not like oh my gosh, I've come to love you within 3 months of our marriage. It covers decades.
Yeah.
Up until his passing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then a little bit of her life after he's passed. But highly recommend it. It's like maybe 200 pages. It's not very long. It feels like a longer read only because there's a lot of historical context in there. So it didn't feel like a quick read, but it felt kind of fun and comforting to sit up and just be like, this is it. This is, listeners don't know, Beauty and the Beast is my favorite fairy tale.
Yeah.
I think we've talked about that before, about how you,
like Beauty and the Beast, between that and the Polar Bear King, those are my 2 favorite fairy tales of all time. And so to read this historical retelling of it was a lot of fun. I also started reading it when I was in Europe, and so I was actually visiting some of the places where they were living, so that was really fun as well. Highly recommend. Marvelous by Molly Green.
Marissa, what are you reading?
Oh, I'm pulling a Megan where I have multiple books that I'm reading
love
right
this
now.
so much. I am like thriving.
I finally finished all of our required readings, so I'm like taking all of the books that I want. No, I started reading A Day of Fallen Night by Samantha Shannon.
Prequel to Prior of the Orange Tree.
Prequel to the Prior of the Orange Tree. So I started reading that one. I started listening to Player Piano by Kurt Vonnegut, which I think is his first novel that he wrote, but I could be mistaken on that. And then because I am traveling starting tomorrow morning, and I didn't want to bring a giant book of A Day of Fallen Night with me.
It is. It is a debut novel.
Yeah. But because I didn't want to bring the big giant book of A Day of Fallen Night, I'm going to be starting Masters of Death by Olivia Blake, which came very highly recommended by the Barnes & Noble employee that Jenna and I saw the other day.
Yes.
Like, he was, not, I wouldn't say shoving it down our throats, but he's like, if you haven't read this, read it. Now. Read it. Don't pick that up.
I'm going to say that is probably the most vocal recommendation I've gotten unprompted from a
bookshop employee
ever in my life, and it definitely convinced me to want to read it as well. So, and then even as we were leaving, he made a comment, "You're getting it!" Like, it was very exciting.
Did he also check you out? Like, not check you out, but like check you out?
He was like right next to the person.
He
was,
okay. Like at the till before her.
I've noticed that like the last couple times I've gone to Barnes & Noble, anyone who recommended me a book, and then I go up to the checkout and it's always that same person who's checking me out.
Yeah.
They don't check me out though.
We lost Summers anyway. What about you, Make It?
I am taking a break from fantasy because as we joked earlier, I have read 7 books in a row with haunted forests and I am tired of it. I do highly, highly recommend One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig because it was amazing, and I just finished Two Twisted Crowns, which is the sequel to it this morning. The sequel and conclusion. So even though I just said I'm taking a break from fantasy, I'm actually listening to the audiobook of The Isles of the Gods by Amy Kaufman because she is coming to town on a book signing next month, and I've already got my ticket. I don't know if you guys have. I already got my ticket. And I'm also picking up Beach Read by Emily Henry, which best friend Hannah annotated for me last year and sent before she moved to New Zealand. And 1, my husband came from Korea. 2, we moved. 3, I had to help him get a job. So I just never picked it up. And then by the time I set up my library this year, I was like, okay, that'll be a summer read. And it's still summer, so it's time.
Get it in right before spooky season.
What about you?
So I just finished Bride by Ali Hazelwood, which was fun. I was pretty surprised. I like Ali Hazelwood. I do. I enjoy her. She does a lot of the STEM romance, so it's kind of a lot of the fun. She did the Love Theoretically and the Love Hypothesis and all of that, and it's, all of these nerdy, fun STEM romances. And this was a contemporary fantasy novel.
Werewolves, right?
With werewolves and vampires and humans, but also contemporary, it's our world, as if werewolves and humans, almost Parasol Protectorate style, only modern day, if they were just part of our society and stuff. And she's a vampire and he's a werewolf, and they get married to form an alliance. So it's a marriage of convenience. But the whole thing too is her best friend is missing, and that's why she agrees to marry him, because the only hint she has is his initials and last name. And so she's searching for her best friend. So I was pleasantly surprised with how much I really liked the plot of this and the romance, and it was good. It took the mate thing and turned it on its head, which I enjoyed.
Okay,
I
that's
like when
good.
they kind of turn it on its head and change it up a little bit. We've talked about my feeling about mates.
Yeah, we did.
But it also took vampires and werewolves and turned it on its head and gave it her STEM feel.
Oh, cool.
To it. So her idea is that it's not that vampires and werewolves are mythological beings. It's they're different species through genetic adaptations throughout life. So vampires are
mutants.
They're mutants that genetically can't stand the sun and do these and the thing with I forget what she calls it in it, but where they brainwash people and stuff like that. She can do that, but she's talking about having an extra sense in her eye that connects with eyes of other people, and it's a muscle that she has to flex to attach to their eyes and cause that change in their brain chemistry. So the way she describes it in a way that's scientific, that's totally obviously not real, was really fun and interesting. I liked it.
I also love that the cover is the same artist that does her regular things, so it's consistent. We love consistency.
Consistency
with
is
covers.
beautiful when things are on my shelves. That being said, I did just finish it like yesterday or the day before, so I'm going to be picking up Masters of Death with Marissa, and we're going to tandem read this.
Nice.
I'm sorry, I had to look it up because the whole like vampirism is actually like genetic and stuff like that. It made me think of this thing that somebody said of like, what if vampires are real? And it was just somebody that had, and I had to look up the name for it because it was a stupid name. But the shortened version of it is XP, which is a rare genetic disorder that causes people to be extremely sensitive to UV lights. And then it's like, and really they're just super anemic and they need blood to sustain them.
I like how we're just like, okay, guys, we're going to wrap things up. And then we proceed to talk about completely other books for another 10 minutes. And I think that's our little palate cleanser from this.
Exactly.
So I think it's necessary. I want to pick up Bride now. It sounds fun.
My husband's FaceTiming me, which we had made a joke about earlier.
If we had finished this like 10 minutes ago, it would have been work.
But I'm going to finish this up. I'm going to give you guys a quote from The Unmaking of June Farrow by Adrienne Young and stop
Bring us back full circle
before we go on any more tangents about Bride, because I can talk about it for forever, I guess. And this is by Birdie, and it says, "The next time you see the door, open it," which I think is just the perfect ending for this book.
She didn't go through the door though, is the thing.
Well, she did when Birdie told her to.
Go through the last door when she could have left.
But that was when Birdie was telling her
To go
you're
back.
very
supposed
first
to go
time.
back.
You're
later.
supposed to go
Yeah.
back.
Mhm. So,
Breaking the cycle.
breaking the cycle.
All right.
Guys, thanks for joining us this time.
Hey, thank you, Angela, for joining us.
Yes.
Thanks for having me again. I'll be seeing you all again when we finally get around to finishing another book.
Yeah, the other three.
Yeah. Thank you guys.
Bye.
Bye.